and designing of drugs. It forms one of the most important essential topic in today's scenario. By small molecule we mean that we have organic molecules whose atomic mass unit is about 800 daltons. But first look into the historic scenario of what has been done from the 1920s. So it gives a clear picture of how far we have come. So in the 1920s you can see that we have started the herbal drugs, and this has proved to be very useful even nowadays. We have switched over to the Ayurvedic method and the homeopathic methods. And then in the 1930s they used only vitamins and vaccines to cure some of the defects that are there. Then the 1940s saw the antibiotic era, and 1970 rise of biotechnology. In the 1960s breakthrough in etiology. So this is etiology means this is a very good uh, place where reason and cause were calculated. And in the 1950s the discovery of DNA led to most important breakthrough, the receptors in medicines. Okay, the receptors usually are the amino acids are the and proteins. They are usually the proteins, and then that led to the foundation of the drug discovery and combinatorial chemistry. Here you use computational chemistry along with so many other knowledge of information. Okay, lot of information from the database. By database we can also say the properties found in the periodic table. In the 1990 we had this robotic automation, laparoscopy and so many other surgery techniques. And in the 2000 we have the onset of biochemistry, bioinformatics and the cheminformatics. Both are the same, but unless you study the biological activity, you will call it as the bioinformatics. If you study the chemistry aspect like the properties, you will call it as the chemical aspect. Now let us have a look into the important aspects of the drug designing. Okay, by drug designing we are considering some molecules, and we just take up the target. The target usually is an enzyme. I told you that, or it may be a receptor. Okay, receptor is usually is a high molecular weight chemical compound or biological compound, high molecular weight. So we find the target and then validate it. Validation means verifying it, whether it is the main thing that is responsible for the cause of the disease and outbreak of that. And then we screen it. By screening, it is meant that we just have to observe it, and this is the place where the role of the chemist is there. Small molecules, the molecules which are previously existing are taken and they are fragmented, they are broken, or they are derived, and the derivation is calculated, and then these are tested for biological activity in silico. So by in silico we mean that we use computational methods, and then we have this lead. This lead is what you call it as a leader of all the drugs. Suppose if you have 40 derivatives, one of the derivatives is very good, then you call it as the lead identification. And then you have optimization. Lead optimization means it is a technique in which you optimize, you maximize. Okay, that is how you can maximize using several chemical properties, and then that is followed by absorption, and then metabolism, excretion and toxicity. Absorption, distribution, and then metabolism. Okay, ADM, excretion, how it is excreted from the body, and then toxicity. So these things are the best part. After going through all these parts one by one, you come across the lead optimization, and then finally come to the drug candidate there. Okay, so let us look into the target identification in first three aspects which decide our role, where we are going to do this, whether it is a molecular biologist or cell biologist or bio, that is the, again just going back to the previous slide, that is chemoinformatics. So here the three target lead and lead optimization are carried out by the molecular biologist, the cell biologist, and the bio and chemoinformatics. Protein chemistry people, they do not have anything with the target identification, and molecular models also do not have any role to play in the target identification. Which people have it? A pharmacologist, he has all the role to play to find out the target, to find out the lead, and to optimize it. Toxicologist is connected only with these last two parts, and the process chemist has got the last part only, where he can optimize it using the effects that are responsible for the activity there. Now, how do you identify the target? Identifiable biological target is druggable. That is what you can call it as something which you can call it as a drug. A target that is termed druggable if its activity can be modulated by a therapeutic, whether it be small molecule or biological molecule or protein or nucleic acid, that is therapy. By therapy we mean that there is going to be a cure for this. And what makes a good target, promising of a good target, is that it has a confirmed role in the pathophysiology of a disease. I think these terms, are not connected with the chemistry, but more with the biology. But still, we need to learn a few things that describe the physiology, pathophysiology of that, which causes the disease. Some important things about the particular disease. For example, in the present scenario in which we have got the COVID-19 scare, we are just concerned about ACE2 receptor, that is angiotensin converting enzyme receptor, without the help of which the virus cannot multiply inside the human body. The ACE2 receptors are usually responsible for the increase in the blood pressure and increase in the beats per minute of an adult. Therefore, this is usually not found in persons below the age of 20 years. So, this kind of knowledge is confirmed with the pathophysiology. Then target expression is not evenly distributed throughout the body. It varies from part to part. That is how we know it. And then we just take the 3D structure and asserts its druggability. Okay, so the highlighted terms, are just I am going to describe in my later part what is meant by high throughput and what is by toxic profile. But first, just going to look into the lead identification. The underlying molecular mechanism behind the disease are studied. So here we have to see a lot of interactions. By interaction, I would mean that we now study more non-polar or non-covalent interactions. Non-covalent interactions, because already what are the interactions have been there. Covalent interactions, ionic interactions, they do exist, and their role is there is stable. But when a drug enters the body, how much it is distributed? So the distribution is calculated by means of the log P. I think we as a chemist know about what log P has to offer. The distribution coefficient and the distribution of a particular drug in the aqueous medium versus the distribution of the drug in the organic layer. So organic layer, aqueous layer, both observed. Here you can take organic layer as the blood layer, and then those things that where the drug is consumed as the aqueous layer. These include identifying the genetic factors and disease. So we are not going to this. And here is the more important thing. In vitro means we take up things in the glass, find out its activity. In vivo means in the body, that's animal body. Usually it takes up a lot of time, and therefore we just come to in silico. In that, silicon is what has been considered as being used in chips, and therefore it refers to the computers and the processors. So we use this in vitro, in vivo, and in silico methods to identify this particular leading. So lead compounds are chemical compounds that show desired biological or pharmacological activity and may initiate the development of a new clinically relevant compound. Okay. So clinically very important compound. Lead compounds, this is not lead with the symbol PB, but it is a lead. Lead compounds are typically used in starting points of drug design to give you new drug entities and other pharmacokinetic properties. And just coming back here directly to our chemical part, where we just want to see the natural products that already exist and the chemical libraries. And by chemical libraries, we are going to look into the literature, what has already been there, what has been reputed, and then derive the molecules from them, and then the use of the computational medical chemistry to establish a particular lead. Let us see how this lead optimization is done. Lead optimization is the most important aspects in drug development. The chemical structure of the lead compound is used as a starting point of for chemical modification in order to improve the potency. By improving potency, we also mean that the property of that particular molecule is also calculated. Selectivity, how much selectivity is or how much specific it is, and the pharmacokinetic properties. Kinetic means how much the rate of absorption of the drug from the aqueous layer to the blood, and then how much it is carried from to the liver, and then how much it is functioned. Once the molecule is identified, the next step is to check ADMET, absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity, and further optimization gives the activity of the lead molecule. Now we have the collected compounds. Here you can see the collected compounds are there. Okay, the collected compounds are there, and then we put it into throughput. Means it's a kind of a check. Okay, it's a kind of check, both biological or in silico or in the computers. Then that would consider this a primary stage. In the secondary stage, we will see how much it is bioavailable, and this is also the log P calculation is also there, toxicity and metabolism is there. And then here is our part, structure, activity, relationship. So we need to see how much we are going to find out the absorption rates of the drugs into that. Now this particular chart is a drug discovery cycle, and where do we stand? We stand here in this particular part of as a chemist, we stand at the chemical synthesis, and here from you can just go through this. We find a particular collection of the compound, find out its availability, its toxicity, metabolism, and then we can directly go to its chemical synthesis. The rest of the part is done by those who are involved with the computational chemistry or bioinformatics. This is another flow chart that says that a typical drug discovery sequence. Screened compounds for biological activity is there. Screened compound for biological activity, and then hypothesis. Sometimes hypothesis means we have to imagine to see whether this kind of things works. So hypothesis requires a lot of experimentation and a lot of time, but not going into that, the computational chemistry helps in establishment of this particular part of lead identification and lead. So this takes a lot of time. So you do this in less time. Okay, this is rational drug design based on analog synthesis. Similar compounds. Okay, that is what you call it as the similar compounds are just taken for testing. So you might have seen that there are a lot of drugs in the present scenario for testing for the COVID-19 virus. Okay, then after that, here is the synthesis, screening, analysis, and designing of that, and then finally this is left to the next part. This is the part of the chemist, and this is the part of the chemist, and this is left there to the other persons. A drug development usually involves identification of the disease and isolation of the protein, which takes us about 2 to 5 years, and then finding a drug effective against a disease protein, which takes about 2 to 5 years further, then preclinical testing and scaling up, and then filing up this IND, that is the bodies that control which drug has to come to the market, and then human clinical trials. It takes more of the time. Perhaps it is this place where we are held up still in the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials of present the COVID virus, COVID vaccine. So this is taking a lot of time. This particular part has been done in that particular case. So it is taking a lot of time, because whatever analysis we do, the ultimate thing is with the body that behaves differently, and then it is approved by Federal Drug Agency, and then the technology has impacted it. We have just isolated the protein, put it into genomics, proteomics, and bioinformatics, and then high throughput screening. By high throughput screening, I can say that we have got about 1 lakh compounds, that we can screen thoroughly to find out which may be active. So it is called as the throughput. So it requires a very good knowledge of biological activity of certain chemical components. Then virtual screening there. In the virtual means it is not real. You use only the computer to predict the activity, and then you have combinatorial chemistry that produces vast number of compounds, and then you have this molecular modeling. Molecular modeling and drug designing both are almost similar, but in the molecular modeling you take up so many other factors like ab initio, molecular mechanics, and Monte Carlo methods to improve the presence of that particular molecule that is there. And then in vitro and in silico ADMET models are there. Finally it comes to that Here in this slide, I am going to just highlight the issue that is there in the drug designing of the process. We have to take a molecule. For example, if you are taking aspirin, you can just substitute the aspirin into fluoro derivative or nitro derivative and just do the methods involved in this that are involved, such as the docking. So I am just taking up this particular method, which is very familiar and is very significant. QSR is quantitative structure activity relationship, and both these put together we call it as the combinatorial library. But after we find out the lead, we have to validate it whether it is true or not. After validation, it is given for the synthesis, and then it is given to animal models, and then clinical trials, which is given to the patients. Okay, this part I am not going there, and this is the only part that we are just connected. So this chart, always remember, when we draw certain, when we are in a particular task, drawing a flow chart is very essential, because without any proper planning, things do not go in our favor. Now, what is a small molecule? Considering that there is no strict definition, the term small molecules can be referred to as an organic compound with a molecular weight of about 1500 Dalton. Okay, by Dalton, I think I told you Dalton is quite similar to the atomic mass unit or mass unit. So the one atomic mass unit is equal to the 1/12 of the carbon atom. So it comes to about 1.066 and into 10 power minus 27 joules per molar, kgs, 10 power minus 27. You can just check it, and then the cutoff is about 900 to 1000 Daltons. 1500 is too large and it may be proved to be very taxing, but usually in practical we take only 800 Dalton. Okay, the molecular weight should come to be around 800. Molecular weight of that molecule should come within 800, then becomes easier. Smaller molecules are compounds that alter the activity or the function of the biological target by interacting with the biological molecule, such as DNA, RNA, and the proteins. Here are some examples. Small molecules approved for by the FDA for the cancer therapy. You can see that we are having some ecorofornab, some names are there. Then binimetinib, talazoparib, ios. Okay, and then here some apixaban, Lenard. These are all commercial names, apixaban and pregabalin. So here also you can just see this. What we just do here is take up this as R and put some substitutions like C2H5 or even F or even Cl, and sometimes even biologically active molecule. They are just cut off this and replace this with some pi system. Okay, and then find out what is the effect of the donor, pi donor, or the sigma donor or sigma anti-donor, like that. So you have these properties. So small molecules are already there, which is with some molecular weight, below 800. Just take it up and do the derivative. You can substitute R at any place which requires the chemical knowledge, R dash and R2 dash. Here you can put so many. Particularly we use spectrochemical series to describe this. Here also some way of how this particular molecule is there. So it has been found that this particular molecule, is finding the zinc as binding group. So you can use zinc, copper, and even iron, and sometimes even nickel, and even in some cases selenium is also found to bind. Some binding sites are there. This requires a knowledge of chemistry, and that is capable of angiotensin converting enzyme inhibition. So once you find inhibition, it's a very good drug candidate. We call this as the molecular recognition, is the ability of the biomolecules to recognize other biomolecules. That is, this is the biomolecules to recognize other biomolecules and selectively interact with them in order to promote fundamental biological events. So that is called as recognition. Now, of the several parts, I am taking up the molecular docking, and some terms I am just explaining them for the molecular docking out of the several methods, because it is very easier, and it uses the concept of lock and key. Suppose if this is lock and this is key, you can see that that key and lock are making a very good complex, and this here is a receptor. Usually it is an enzyme, and we also term this as a macromolecule, a very molecule with a large, huge atomic molecular weight. And this ligand is what we call it as our own drug. This ligand is a drug, and then that forms a complex. Whenever this you hear this word complex, the thermodynamics proves very useful. the amount of energy that is released upon the binding is calculated only based on the thermodynamic concept. So we have got several things to describe them. Is such thing is antigen and antibody. Here you can see the shapes are there, and then these dotted lines are the non-covalent interactions. I have been telling you these are very essential, the non-covalent interactions, and then enzyme and substrate are there. Both here is this, if you consider this as a lock and this is considered as a key there, and then signal or receptor, the same, these are all the small molecules, you can call it as the ligand also, and then the transport carriers versus the molecule that is there. So all these are similar terms that we use. Then the molecular recognition understands the principles based on the molecular function and biological process, molecular functions and the biological process. Here you see this. Understand one of the impact on drug discovery is done here. You use control means, you just call it as some standard. We always have in chemistry something called as it says. In one part you just block the recognition, so block the production of certain inhibitors and you call it as the integrators. Something is produced, for example, folic acid is produced by some part of the body which is taken up by the adenovirus bacteria or the common cold bacteria, common cold virus, and you have to block it. Once you block it, the virus or the pathogen dies inside. So these are called as inhibitors. So some enzymes and hormones have to be inhibited, or you have to increase and emulate the recognition, which is called as the agonist or recombinant protein, etc. And out of this, this is the only method that we are going to take, developed by M.L. Fisher. Just here is that you can see that the same. So this is the drug and this is the receptor. They have met a very good. So this particular part, this skill, is surrounded by what we can call as the is only consisting of something like C double bond O or something like NH. Okay, it's capable of exhibiting OPH like this. So here you have to bring in your molecule should be so much that it has to have a very good inductive effect or resonance effect or mesomeric effect or whatever anomaly effect, so that these particular parts, suppose if you have this as delta minus, this should be capable of inducing delta plus. So a knowledge of chemistry is more important. Only if you have delta plus and minus, it may be able to form a very good complex like this. So the active site of the molecule is that which has got the polar properties of a particular molecule. Here we are just making out these interactions. So these are temporary interactions we have often ignored. We just look into the main bonds such as covalent ionic bonds. Here non-covalent bonds, I am just going to describe later what is being measured in my next slide. The conformations is also very important. So by conformation I mean to say the same thing which we have seen across in the conformation of the cyclohexane. We have called them as the staggered, okay, we call them as eclipsed. Okay, just rotate some of the bonds along the dihedral angle and just to measure how much energy is released. So this is an energy profile diagram that you are measuring when a ligand binds with a particular receptor, ligand binds with a particular enzyme. So here is one in which the energy is here is the second, energy is lower. So this is to be scaled in terms of the energy only. Energy. Here is the macromolecule, here is the ligand. Here is the macromolecule, here is the ligand. So just to keep on changing, this is the conformation. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 conformers are there. Okay, but conformer either staggered, eclipsed, gauge or whatever it is, or just by rotation to about to 30 degree, 60 degree, 180 degree, 120 degree, like that you can just rotate, find out the amount of energy that is released when it bonds. Okay, so out of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and N, that is the sixth one there, this has got the lowest bending energy, and then we say that the ligand A binds to this conformation very well, and it's a very good docking process. Okay, so this the lock and key ensemble, that's the entire process, that conformations that we have seen in the previous slide is being taken up and is correlated with the lock and key model. because it is well known that only when the drug binds to a receptor, it cannot do its activity. There are experimental methods also to study the molecular docking, such as the X-ray, such as the crystallography, NMR techniques, electron microscopy, but we are not going to use them. Just we are directly going to the computational docking, as it is an essential component of in modern drug discovery. Most people think that this is an outdated one, but this is the ultimate one where you can see that this drug is going and fixing itself into a particular enzyme there. Suppose if this is your anti-COVID drug, and this will be the ACE2 receptor. Only the ACE2 receptor is the only place where this particular virus goes and activates that. And here is our classification. Small molecule versus a small molecule, they can just bind very well. You should not confuse the small molecule docking with the large molecule docking. This is not needed for us. And small molecule docking with nucleic acid, small molecule docking with a protein is what we are going to study. And therefore, the protein-protein interactions and the history of all where you are going to dock is also very essential. This computational docking explains the concept of molecular the structure interacts like a hand in glove, wherein both shapes and the physical chemical properties of the structure contribute to the fit. You can see that shape complementary, chemical complementary. Complementarity means, suppose if you have O here, you can have H here. Suppose if you have a heteroatom nitrogen here, hydrogen atom there, chlorine here, hydrogen atom there. So all these polar interactions are responsible for that. And that is what we study is the hydrogen bond acceptor, even aromatic pi acceptors and pi donors, and then electrostatic acceptors or the hydrophobic donors. And then there are some things called as the Coulomb hole. When you induce the electronegative atom there. So this actually apart from the covalent and non-covalent interaction, these are the same things there. So you can see the docking can be used to visualize the energy of the complex. Okay, the energy of the complex, and that is what you have. This has got some energy and this has got some energy. But if you just look into the place where it is docked, earlier we saw about conformation. Now we are looking into the place. In the right place, the docking is like this. In the bottom, the docking is like this. In the central part, the docking is like this. So this part is giving the lowest energy. The energy can be calculated by the programs themselves. The Autodock or the dock programs, they calculate the energy and give it to you. You have to take up the lowest energy and find out the bonding there. If you bond the molecule or the stop that comes here, it has got a wide potential energy curve, and it's very slow. So these sharp things will suggest very fast. If the docking is on this particular part, it gives like this, so it has got a higher energy. If the docking is this particular part, so part by part also can be analysis can be done to find out the lowest energy. By lowest energy, we mean a stable formed complex. And this also is a representation of the conformation. So you can see rigid means very strong, it's fixed. You actually, the molecules inside the body are not rigid, they are flexible. Rotational energy, vibrational energy, translation energy, all these things are there. The ligand also can be rotate in this direction, can vibrate in this direction, but you just make it rigid and first make the macromolecule as well as the drug as rigid, then find out this energy. Then you make this particular molecule flexible and attach it with the rigid particle bond, measure the energy, and then you make this as rigid and then make this as flexible. Both of them flexible, it takes up lot of time. Okay, so it represents the complexity there. This complexity means how much how much time it is taking up. Now, before the generation of docking third structure of elaboration, it is important to clean up the 2D structure. Clean up means, we are forcing the standard bond lengths and bond angles. There are angle bond, for example, 1.2 angstrom units for a CC bond, for a CC sigma bond. Okay, and then a reactive or otherwise undesirable compound must be removed and then generate possible isomers This cleaning up is also called as the molecular mechanics. Molecular mechanics. Then for most docking programs, the tautomeric, this is tautomer as an isomer, tautomeric and protonation H plus generation is the state of the ligand to be docked is defined by the user. We just have to use the chemical knowledge. Chemistry is general structure is considered to be dominant neutral and pH is generated. pH dependent factors are also there. Incorrect assignment leads to incorrect docking. So generation of the small molecules from already existing is described in this particular slide, in which you have got a salt removing, or you are taking up any isomer, or you are taking up a tautomer, or you are taking a geometrical isomer to describe this. So for example, I am just going to examine cetirizine is a one good drug, that is a good cetirizine, but now you have levocetirizine nowadays. Now it's a tautomer, it's a tautomer of the particular thing. This is not, this is more, this has got more side reactions and this has got very less side reactions. So you can see just the same thing like you see for the glucose and fructose. Glucose is present lot of is causing problem in sugar patients, but fructose isn't. Scoring methods is dependent on the docking software that you are using. There are several scoring methods. I am not discussing them. Maybe in some other video I can discuss about the scoring methods, but just during the part of the analysis and screening of the small molecules, the scoring methods assume very good significance. So again, I am just impressing on the fact that we have to listen to these four important interactions: electrostatic interaction, hydrogen bond interaction, van der Waals interaction. In hydrophobic interactions, in most cases we just ignore the van der Waals interactions. They extend up to 10 angstroms, while a bond length is between 1.2 to 1.4 angstrom units. This can exist there. This can exist there. They can influence the adjacent molecules by up to 10 angstrom units and even 13 angstrom units. I am just going to show some examples there. So here is how you just use a small molecule. This is the actual aim of my presentation in using the small molecules. So I just taken the benzene ring, is just substituted by some other atom like this, and its binding score is measured, and then I am just putting the second atom there, second molecule there, and then just I am putting the oxygen and nitrogen, or oxygen, nitrogen and fluorine there. So I am just keeping on this increasing the substituent there. Substituent is increased. So substituent is increased and the energy measured. It always doesn't mean that energy which is lowest is got very highly active, but we need to say that the binding is very proper. If the highest amount of energy is released, that means that the binding is very proper. Therefore, it forms a very good complex and it is a very good blocking agent. So most of our drug work by blocking agents by sitting in that particular place. So in the concept B, I am using this particular cavity. I am just moving to this particular cavity and just measuring. The macromolecule is the same. Macromolecule or enzyme or target, these are all the same for this, but I am just moving the places. Here it is this place, and here it is this place, and here I am just taking up this place. So I need to know the chemical structure of this. This is this line that we have drawn. It consists of only the bonds like C double bond O, N, H, and then CH2, CH2 like this. So this particular part, it describes the chemical parts. So after doing all this, I just stop to find out what is the most energy releasing complex, and that is I am just putting it as a E protein plus E ligand. It forms the energy that is released by the complex. Complex has a lower potential energy than its constituent. That is what keeps them together. So lowering of energy with the formation of the complexes. Again, this is the equation that is that E total equal to E van der Waals plus E electrostatic attraction plus E hydrogen bond constitution, E torsional. The torsional length is usually between the 4 bonds like this. Okay, the interaction between this and this and this through these particular molecules, and in terms of the angles, or even we just call it as the dihedral angle, is contributing to the torsional angle. So E desolvation, and you can include any factors that you think is suitable based on the chemical intuition. The energy obtained by force field method. Force field method is just same standard methods of the in bond length and bond angle and the energy concept that we have in chemistry. Then we are using this energy in 3 different directions, in y direction, in x direction, and then change it in z direction and find out what is happening to it, and then rotation along x, rotation along y, rotation along z. That means 3 energies by 3 different axes just by rotating it. And this is the most important part I would like to discuss there in the light of the molecules. You can see ion-ion interactions found in the quaternary ammonium salt is very good with something where you have 2 polar groups with the delta minus like this and a very good R group there. And you can see the same tertiary amino group interacting with a water molecule, and that is an ion dipole. And then you have dipole. These are all the interactions that we measure, okay, that we measure in docking process. Dispersion and hydrogen bonding. So some examples are given. You can pause the slide and find out later which are very important, and the distance factor is also given. Quite similarly, I am just also telling the cation pi interactions are releasing so much amount of energy, flue juice per mole. Cation pi interaction example is some cation is there. See, for example, you can have Fe2 plus, or then you have a aromatic system, and then pi interactions amounting to about 4 into 50. You can classify based on the energy that is measured by the docking program to which type of binding you might have done, and then hydrogen bonding by about 4 to 120 kilohertz. This we have to remember by heart during the calculations. Van der Waals less than 5 energy, hydrophobic it's variable, ion dipole 50 to 200. Quantification of this is unambiguous, but it provides from a data or from a previous knowledge of these things, you can always go over to the energy that is released and the type of interaction that you are there. In this particular picture, I am just taking up the further virtual screening, lead hopping, and here is a picture of this enzyme there in the background with the ligand that is drawn there. Okay, the ligand is there. So here is it. So you just keep this as R and keep changing, and we call it as the virtual screening. R may be equal to CH3, R may be equal to C2H5, R may be equal to Cl, F, Br, and R may be equal to NO, R may be NH2. You just put it, and then now when you just go from one molecule to another, you get something, you call it as the lead hopping, move from one part to another part. And then if there is an increase in the property, then you call it as the hit rate, and for all this you do the docking. For every derivative that you are doing docking, then you call it as the high throughput screening. Lead hopping is also after docking, you just make a fragment here and just move over this and then attach over there. See, disconnect in the fragments, simultaneous docking of the fragments, reassemble the fragments. Okay, this is going to give you a new lead, because you can see that this is the initial compound. This is your initial compound. You can just take it as lead. This is your final compound. Okay, what has happened there in the initial and the final compound? In the initial compound, you are having this particular part. In the initial complex, you are having the CH2Cn. Look at what has happened here. So you have included CH is already there, CH2 is there, then you have included another CH here, a new CH has been introduced. After fragmenting, you have introduced this, and you have just changed the place from nitrogen binding to carbon binding. Here this is bound to the nitrogen, and here it is bound to the carbon there. So this is also called as the lead hopping, just changing the sites. Okay, then you are finding out the docking by docking methods, which is very good and which binds very well, which releases high energy. Okay, so in this concept you are having the so many derivatives there, and that is seen as the by the computer as some points. Particularly important is the simplified molecular input line entry system. Like SMILE stands for simplified molecular input line entry system. Okay, why I am just putting is these are the some of the factors that we got to know something before going to this. These are all the same, but you don't go into the graph theory. It also takes a connection table. This is not needed, and just a knowledge of them is needed. But what we need to know is only the SMILES input and the pharmacophore in the process. So this slide is significant only if you see the spectrochemical series. So here is the last part of my speech where I am just talking about the case study. Thiotepa is an anti-cancer drug. Okay, anti-cancer drug. I am just filling up this particular part by means of the nitrogen there, and then analyzing this docking of this molecule. So this is a small molecule. This is a small molecule. Cyclopropene system. 3 cyclopropene rings are there, connected by a tertiary carbon atom there, and then this particular part I am connecting with another nitrogen atom, and this particular part I am just connecting with 3 nitrogen atoms. So this compound is without any nitrogen atom. This compound has got 3 nitrogen atoms, and then the fourth compound that I am doing is by introduction of the phosphorus atom. Phosphorus atom is being introduced, and then I am removing all the nitrogen atoms from this particular joining this and just taking up the phospho compound with without nitrogen atom, and then phospho compound with sulfur atom, phospho compound with 1 nitrogen. Okay, phospho compound with 2 nitrogen, phospho compound with 3 nitrogen, and then suddenly I am just changing the sulfur into the O, and then changing this into 3 nitrogen atoms there in this particular part, and then coming back putting a fluorine atom, and then CS2Cl, and then OCS3, and then finally NO2. So this is a last derivative that I have taken. It's a biologically active derivative. Biological active derivative. We often call it as the laughing gas. So for each part I have just taken the docking there. You can see that the docking part is there. The ligand docked is there. This is a ligand that is docking there. This is a protein. This is a protein, and then I have measured it by about 3.616 there, and they scaled it to 20 angstrom units. This is the first part in which there is a simple thiotepa is there. In the next part, I have just introduced a nitrogen atom, and this particular molecule is found here, very good docked, and I am measuring the values, distance and energy. Energy is being tabulated there separately, about 4.51. So likewise, I am doing it for the 2 nitrogen atoms, for 3 nitrogen atoms, and then for the substituent like OCS3 with sulfur, and then NO molecule, and you can see that this particular molecule is here within inside this particular protein. This is the receptor. Receptor is available from pdb.org. A literature survey will tell you which receptor is very good for which particular type of molecule, which particular type of docking. You can see that of all the molecules, the docking parameters, here I have got very good parameters like 4.67, 6.33, 1.74, very close, 2.505. These are all non-covalent interactions that have been calculated. That means this particular molecule with nitrous oxide as a ligand has bound very well, has docked very well, and it's a very good derivative. And I have measured the electrostatic potential, electrostatic map of ordinary T-type1, all carbon atoms, and then this is the nitro derivative. This is the nitro derivative. You can see the oxygen atom there. This is the oxygen atom, and then you can see this 14, 13 with some sulfur atom there, with some oxygen atom there. So I have measured this, what is happening to the electrical map of this particular molecule, and modeling of that more effective drug was published in a particular paper, anti-cancer drug using MESP in a Chinese paper in the year 2011. This was a very good paper, had a very good ISSN number, it is there. So this is the type of work that was being done from a small molecule derivatives was changed, stitched and docking done to finally come to the conclusion. So this is an example, another example of how a particular drug has bound to the drug. This is the ultimate aim of drug discovery. How much a ligand is capable of bonding inside a particular macromolecule. This is a three-dimensional sphere structure, and this is a two-dimensional structure which is telling you the interaction part. This is the red part is your ligand, and the next part is the macromolecule there. Now this is what I have been telling, this angiotensin converting enzyme there. Angiotensin converting enzyme ACE2 is there, so receptor is there, and then you can have several conformers. So each line is being moved here. So you can see this is a good rotation of bonds. Okay, something like, you can see there are about 100 different structures. This is a single structure, single molecule, okay, with the rotation of bonds giving rise to several conformers. So each conformer, suppose if you are capable of finding out a bond and you are rotating to 5 degree, 10 degree, 20 degree, 19, 15 like that, and then every angle is being bound to the receptor, then you are finding out which conformer has got very good binding. That is what is being trying to find out, and then you map them. It's called as the consensus scoring, and then you calculate all the energy. The mathematical part is not needed, but just I am showing that mathematics is ultimately helping us to calculate the quantitative result. Okay, so in the last I am just mentioning some of the softwares that are there. This also is capable of generating the molecular descriptors such as the dipole moment, such as the molecular surface area, volume, like that. And then this is also, Tailor is also having so many descriptors, and then this is ab initio program there, Gaussian is also there. You can always calculate the energy of particular molecule, and all the docking are done using this AutoDock free of charge, and it's very useful there. PyMol is there and JMol is there. So these are all some of the softwares there, and here also another next slide which shows you this particular thing is very useful for calculating MESP, molecular static potential. This is an Indian University of Pune, and Univis is very good software for measuring the MESP, molecular static potential. The map that I shown the last, and that gives you that. Then to begin with, we have this computational chemistry, and it's a very famous book by David Young. And then not only that, for drug discovery, this particular book edited by Patrick Bultnink in computational medicine discovery has got a lot of chemistry discussion along with computers. So this is a very good standard book, and this is coupled with molecular mechanics by Andrew R. Leach, which can give you an insight into chemical knowledge as well as the computers knowledge. And this is just a some book which is inspiring to me, this Quantum by Manjit Kumar. It can tell you how the things developed by discussion between the Einstein and Niels Bohr. So more you can find at this my particular slide.